How are you, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are connected in the world? This is your host, Maina Wajagona. Welcome to Brilliant Talk. Today, I have a very, very brilliant mind. We're going to talk about some headwinds facing the Nigerian economy. As we all know, Nigeria is the largest or most popular country in Africa. It's also one of the most popular countries in the world. Some people say that when Nigeria coughs, other people feel it. Nigeria has contributed a lot to the culture globally. When it has extended a lot of people all over the world, in the first world countries, in the global south, who are making an impeccable difference in different economies and life as we know in general. So Nigeria is a very important country to talk about, and some of the headwinds they are facing also tends to foretell what is going on in Africa. So today I have a very brilliant mind, as I say. I have Mr. Ernest Ogberbor and I really hope I didn't say that. Could you say your name for our guests to make sure that they get it and we get it right?
Ernest Ogberbor.
Okay, thank you, sir. Again, we have a very brilliant mind. He is a major player. He's an economist. He's an analyst.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be with you. My name is Ernest Ogberbor. Just to say, I'm an accountant, and I'm also a small business consultant working with small and medium scale companies in Nigeria. And I'm a public policy analyst and an investor in the Nigerian economy, as it were, so with very good interest, a high level of interest in Nigeria and how Nigeria is doing. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ogbebor has a Bachelor's of Science from Edo State in Accounting and Finance, honors actually, a Bachelor of Science in an honor roll in Accounting and Finance. He also has an MBA in Finance from Lagos State University. So as we talk to him, we know we are getting the real deal. He has done a lot of things, and not only is he a managing partner at VMS Professional Services, he has been a senior advisor and a senior manager, finance manager. So those are some of the portfolios that he holds and the background that he has. So one thing that is challenging our fellow brothers and sisters in Nigeria is inflation. And also we can obviously say that inflation is affecting all countries, definitely. But let's talk more specifically Nigeria. We understand that, but can you tell us what inflation is in a nutshell?
Okay, thank you. Well, in a nutshell, in a very simple term, inflation just describes a situation where there is a continuous increase in the prices of goods and services within an economy. So it is more or less like just describing a situation where the price of goods and services not stable, cannot be predicted as it were. So it's continually on the upward movement. Now the reverse is also possible, where there is a continuous decline in prices of goods and services. That becomes a deflation. But the inflation part of it, which is what we see more often around the world, and Nigeria is not an exception, is upward movement in the prices of goods and services.
Okay, so things become more expensive for people to buy.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, we are all experiencing that. Now, more specifically in the country, in your country, there's what we call the floating currency and the fixed currency. We've been hearing that President Tinubu has been trying to, I don't know whether he has already done this, but he's been working to change the NAIRA from a fixed one, fixed currency, to a floating one that is determined by the markets. Could you elaborate on this, especially let us know what fixed, what floating is, and exactly what he's trying to do?
Okay, so in the context of the economy, a country, a nation state can decide to leave the exchange rate between its currency and other currencies to the determination of what we normally call in economics market forces, the forces of demand and supply. When a nation decide to adopt that kind of economic policy, leaving the exchange rate of your currency to forces of demand and supply, we say that that country has floated its currency, allowing basic things like your level of international trade, the level of investment flows, the speculations even of values of currency, and you allow them to determine what the exchange rate of your currency is as against others. Now, the other side is where countries decide to have a fixed exchange rate. They fix a rate at which the country's currency is exchanged against other country currencies. That is a fixed currency regime. And that was where we were for a very long time in Nigeria until the present administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in and thought that the policy direction they would want to pursue was to float the exchange rate and allow market forces to determine what NAIRA should exchange for against other currencies, especially the US dollars, the pounds, and the euro, which form a major part of our foreign exchange transactions. So that is what we have done. Now, to whether it is right or wrong is an issue. It's about perspective also, okay? Because there are countries in the world that have a floating system for their currencies, while some other countries have adopted the fixed currency exchange rate. So it's not so much as to which one is good and which one is bad. It's about the characteristics of your economy and you deciding which of these will work best for you. That is where we are. So for the last part of your talk, whether he has done it already or not, yes, the Nigeria currency is currently floated, and that is why our currency moved from at the time we were operating the fixed exchange rate. It was about 600, 700 naira to the US dollar, and when it was floated, it moved up to about 1,800 naira to $1 US, and it has come down now and stabilized between 1,006 and 1,007 naira to a USD. That's where we are now. So we are currently operating a floating currency system.
So what I'm really trying to fully understand is, okay, they had chosen the fixed rate, and then now, as you have said, that the country has now is now operating on a floating basis.
Yeah.
What really made them choose the fixed one? That's really what I really am trying to understand. And what is Tinubu trying to do by making it float? Because now it was 600 and something nairas to $1,
Yeah.
And now you're saying it's over $1,000 stabilized Naira to the dollar, which means that the major hard world currency, which is the US dollar, it's more expensive, which means goods and services are more expensive for the ordinary Nigerian, most Nigerians. What's the advantage of that? I mean, what's the advantage of Tinubu doing that from the fixed to the floating one, which is now almost twice as expensive as it was during the fixed rate?
Okay, well, we always say this. We usually say that Nigeria is a peculiar place. Things that work very well in some other places, you bring it to Nigeria and you just find that it's having some very peculiar challenges and all of that, and they may not really work. But why would government want to do that? And like you rightly mentioned, now that the rate has moved from 600, 700, we are today saying it is between 1,006 and 1,007. Why will you do that? That is more than double in terms of the cost of goods and services that are actually priced in USD and the rest. Now, the thinking is that the government was forcing the exchange rate of the Naira at 600-700 Naira, and that created a thriving and very boisterous black market, like we call it here, alternative market for foreign exchange. So people will not pass foreign exchange through official channels. So you would rather take it to the black market where the rate was like 50-60% more than the official rate. Now that itself creates distortions in the economy. Monetary policies that should ordinarily work, when you have that kind of dual exchange rate, the black market rate or the parallel market like we call it, and the official exchange rate, many of those monetary policies will not have any effect. By the way, you now even find that more transactions are being undertaken in the parallel market than the official market. So the government now looked at it from that angle and said, okay, why don't we harmonize these two rates? Then let the Naira find its natural level. Second point is that the government thought of encouraging inflow of foreign direct investment. Now, if you were bringing in the USD from anywhere outside of Nigeria into the country through the official exchange, the official window, which is what is recognized for capital importation, you are going to be given an exchange rate of 600, 700 Naira. Whereas if you were bringing in that same currency, that amount of dollar through the parallel market, you are getting maybe at that time 900 or so. So there was a lot, that gap was wide. Then the government now, so that was discouraging people from bringing in their capital into Nigeria because of that exchange rate. So by floating it, by removing that official exchange rate, what government have done is that it has now encouraged people who have money outside, even Nigerians and non-Nigerians alike, to now bring in their money into Nigeria at a better and a more attractive exchange rate. So those are some of the positive side of it. Now, whether those measures, whether we have actually seen the result is another thing. I don't have the statistics now because we need to start now looking at what is the net capital inflow. Now, how much is coming in now that we have floated as against when it was fixed? I think that would be another level of discussion as per the effectiveness of the floating exchange regime.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. What you're saying is that when it was fixed, the dollar was probably cheaper than what it really should be, and that was encouraging markets on the other side, which are not official, to operate, and which were obviously making it very difficult for the official exchange rate to work. So as that continues to stabilize, you're seeing the effects already, or how long should the effects be as they try to minimize the other market, which is not the official one?
Okay. You know, I mentioned a little earlier on now that some things just work outside here. You bring them here, and you just start wondering what's going on here. That's why we say Nigeria is a different. But so now, just to answer that question now is to say that it has not really worked the way it was supposed to work, because we still have the parallel market today running alongside the official exchange rate with a gap that is still wide enough to attract patronage from people who still go to the black market to sell and buy foreign exchange. That, coupled with the fact that it is very difficult to get foreign exchange through the official market, which is through the commercial banks, makes it actually gives no option, no choice to a lot of people who need foreign exchange other than to go to the parallel market. So if we had fixed the structural issues, the system issues, the bureaucracy around getting foreign currency through official channels, maybe it could have worked better than it is doing now. But because those things are there, what you need to provide to the banks for you to be able to access foreign exchange for very productive activities that you want to do, it's almost like impossible for a lot of people. So they just take the option and go to the black market, the parallel market, and source their exchange at a premium above the official exchange rate. That is why I would say that it has not worked, because other factors too that have impacted negatively the investment climate has also made it impossible or difficult, or rather unwise, for capital to flow into Nigeria the way it should. Looking at the level of insecurity, the instability in government policy, inconsistency of government policies, and stuff like that. The capital is a very fragile thing in terms of it has no emotion, so it goes to where it will be welcome, where it can grow and prosper. So when you put all that side by side with the policies of the government, you just see that the challenges are eating up whatever we're supposed to gain from the floating. That is why I would say that it hasn't worked the way it was envisaged that it was going to work.
Well, wonderful. For those joining us, I am your host, Maino Ajagona. This is Brilliant Talk. We are talking to a very brilliant mind, Mr. Ernest Ogberbor. And he is an accountant, he's a public policy analyst, and he is informing us and enlightening us what is going on with the economy in Nigeria. Nigeria, for about 5 years between 2018 and 2023, was the largest African economy. Again, some of the economic headwinds, just as affected all countries on the continent and actually the world, also have had some impact on the Nigerian economy. Today, Nigeria is no longer the largest economy in Africa. Actually, it's now number 4. The largest economy is South Africa at 373.33 billion when we talk about GDP, gross domestic product. Then the second largest economy is Egypt at $347 billion. The third one is Algeria at $266.78 billion. And we come to Nigeria at $252.74 billion GDP. So there's been a contraction of the GDP for the Nigerian economy more than some of these major African economies, falling from the first to number 4. That's pretty significant. How is this affecting Nigerians? What is going on there? I believe what you see out there.
It's affecting me serious. Look at this water leaf. We used to buy it 150 before, but now it's 1,500. We will see what we are tying for 500. How can we cope? Look at oil, palm oil now. A gallon of palm oil is 60,000. Rice, see rice now. We cannot buy rice again and sell. See rice, they are selling rice 92, 95,000. How are we going to do? A cup of ogbono is 2,500. It's very bad. So what about people that have 2, 3 children? How are they going to feed them? Before you talk about school fees.
It's unfortunate how the country has been. To me, from my own point of view, I feel what is wrong with this country is a simple mathematics. Why not fix the refinery? What does it take to fix the refinery? It's just a simple mechanism. Fractional distillation tower. Why not get those that are qualified, let them fix the refinery, or I will buy the idea of privatizing the refinery.
So if government is sincere about subsidy, if they can make our farm and our rural areas safe, I believe the people will go into farming massively. And as a result, the price of food will be forced to come down.
Well, the GDP measurement and Nigeria position in Africa, yes, you are very correct. It still stems from our earlier discussion on the value of our local currency. The devaluation of the NAIRA drastically reduced the value of the NAIRA compared to the USD, which is actually the basis of all those measurements. And so that weakening of the NAIRA itself affected the value that's attributable to Nigeria. You will also recall that some time ago, Africa's richest man left Alhaji Dangote and moved on to another person just because a substantial part of his wealth is denominated in Naira. So that is part of the effect of the devaluation and the value of the Naira. Now, the other thing is that Nigeria, from that 2018 coming into 2019 and the rest, where Nigeria economy was growing, we have seen a big reduction in the productivity level of the Nigeria economy. And a multiplicity of factors are responsible. Government policies is part of it, and the reduction in the purchasing power of the large population of Nigeria is also affecting all of this our gross domestic product. And we always talk about the GDP, and it's relative to what you produce within the economy. And Nigeria is largely not very productive to the extent that we should. One is cost issues. I talk about systemic issues. We talk about infrastructure issues and stuff like that. So that is what is impacting on it. But the chief of all the issues responsible for losing that position from first to fourth right now is actually the devaluation of the naira. If we find a way to shore up our production, and that increases the value of the naira, Nigeria definitely will come back to that enviable position as the largest economy in Africa, because we have the population to actually support that.
Wow.
Over 200 million to South Africa's 60 million or so. So the population is there, but productivity is the challenge. Yes, sir.
Wow. For some of us, I'm trying to reason why President Tinubu would do that. I'm trying to think what is the upside of those decisions if it has produced such desperate effects. Okay, I think we have to hope that things work. So what is the government, what is the administration doing to improve the economic condition and get this inflation under control? Briefly.
Okay. What is the administration doing? Okay, I will tell you what they are doing, but then we'll now go into whether what they are doing is the right thing to do, in my own opinion. What is the government doing to rein in inflation, to control inflation? Based on their own understanding, analysis of the situation and their understanding, the government, through the Central Bank of Nigeria, using monetary policy statement, have continuously raised interest rates in Nigeria. And the second policy that has come from them is that they suspended import duties, import taxes on essential goods. Okay, that is coming from the monetary policy side. Now, why are we raising interest rates? That is because in their thinking, this inflation is a demand pull inflation. They are looking at it from the angle that prices of goods and services keep rising because there is so much money in circulation chasing few goods. All right. And so if that is your diagnosis, if that is what you are coming up with as the cause of problem, then you ask, okay, how do I solve it? I raise interest rate. I make borrowing from bank more expensive. That encourages more people to save their money, reducing the money in circulation. And if the money in circulation goes down, then prices of goods will start coming down because there will not be too much money now chasing few goods. That is their thinking. That is their thing. I think differently. I think differently because I don't think that Nigeria inflation challenge is caused by demand. I think that it is a cost-pull inflation. The Nigerian production system is challenged with a very high level of input cost. And so when it costs you so much to produce, you have to sell for this amount. It is not whether there are people demanding, people who can afford it. It's about you selling at a price where you can make your money back and maybe a profit or so on your production. And so when you have that kind of a cost push inflation situation, increasing interest rates like our central bank have done over the last 1 year, that has made borrowing now from bank to be going towards 40 to 45% to borrow, means that you are increasing the cost of production further. And that again adds on to the cost of goods and services. That is how it is. And so for me, what we need is a blend of some of these things. I'm not saying that there is no demand pull effect on the inflation, but I'm saying that it may not be as much as the cost push. So if all your solution is to deal with the demand push side, you cause more problem again for the other side, which is cost. So it's just a delicate balancing act, but we need to get involved in that. And maybe the next thing you probably will be asking is, what options should they be looking at? So investment in infrastructure,
tell us
in a
briefly.
way that will help producers reduce their cost of energy right now in Nigeria accounts for a very substantial part of our cost of production. You know, with the subsidy removal from PMS, that added to the inflation issues and all the rest. And so production, every production system now is spending a lot on energy. So we need to be able to look at all of those things and see how we can bring down costs for producers within the economy, and that can help us deal to an extent with the inflation. Well, other factors are there, and so many other things, but okay.
Wow. So pretty much you're telling us some of the things they're doing is making things worse. Obviously,
yes.
When you make the currency float out there, and we did not even talk much about the fuel subsidy, which is a big one. The fuel subsidy, Nigeria was subsidizing fuel, and now that fuel subsidy is out, so it's Nigerians incurring the brand cost of that. Obviously, when you talk of an economy, if the inputs are expensive, the outputs will have to be more expensive because people have to recoup the cost
exactly.
of the goods and services and make a profit to be able to be competitive. So
yes.
I think we probably need to talk more about that. For just the 1 minute remaining, what do you have to say about that in a nutshell, just in conclusion in a minute?
Okay, the truth of the matter, what you have said is the right thing. We are not even saying that this, let me just use the 1 minute to talk about subsidy removal. It's the right thing to do, agreed. Since 2012, I have been an advocate of removal of subsidy, fine. But how do you go about it? Now, to just come out and you try subsidy is gone, no palliative, nothing on ground, no work was done, is where the issue is. It is not in the subsidy that you remove. The truth is that we could have approached it differently. The subsidy will still go, but there will be a way. The shock of that subsidy removal will not have been this much on the economy. If you just say, for example, we decided to do a 1 year phased removal of subsidy. In the first month, let's take away 20% of subsidy. That is increase price of petroleum products by just 20%. In the fourth month, let's add another 20%. And over a period of 12 months, you have removed your subsidy 100%, but you see the economy would absorb that shock gradually. That is one way we could have gone about it. Another way could have been for you to have a pushing effect of all of these things on ground already before announcing the removal of subsidy. So because those things were not done, that is why the effect of some of this policy. Yes, a lot of the things the government is doing are making the situation worse, and it is based on on the result of their diagnosis of the economy and the rest. And that is what I can say about it. And hopefully,
Thank you very much. We are going to have another session of this in the very near future. So I will be reaching out so that we can go ahead and build on this. Thank you so much for joining us.